helping those people who feel the need to rush their food, I think is a great strategy. And maybe this study will provide some evidence that it is a great strategy. Slow eating has also had the effect of increasing diet-induced thermogenesis, what they call DIT. As we have reported previously, DIT, which is also called the thermic effect or specific dynamic action of food consumption, can be defined as the increase in the energy expenditure above basal fasting levels associated with digestion, absorption, transport, metabolism, and the storage of food. This factor is considered to represent an increase in your metabolism, in particular brown adipose tissue induced by the increase in histamine secretion accompanying the taste stimulation and chewing for a longer period of time. So they're trying to make the argument, chew your food longer, savor the food, and you can prevent obesity. It's an interesting hypothesis because all the obsession about calories in, calories out, all the obsession about, you want to make sure you exercise enough, you want to make sure you eat right, and lower your fat. Could it be all along none of those things were true? Not that exercise is not true. I think that could be helpful, although very little about obesity, more about cardiovascular health and other things. But how cool would it be if we discover that had we just chewed and chewed and chewed and savored the food more, that we could have prevented the obesity epidemic from starting. Increased internal motility could be another contributing factor since the blood flow response increases after slow eating. Think about all the blood that has to go during digestion when you're eating fast and you're eating more whole, and then the breaking down and the creation of more juices to try to break down. Then if you don't have enough stomach acid, which we know that most people don't, upwards of 9 out of 10 people don't produce enough stomach acid. And so if you're eating big whole chunks of food and it's going into a belly with very little stomach acid, and then it starts to get backed up, and then it has to go somewhere. It has to be dealt with. If we could deal with it up here and chew and chew and chew and chew and chew until it's as liquefied as possible before we swallow, look at all the processes that you have to bypass, that you help your body out. There could be something to this theory. However, previous investigations of the influence on chewing or of chewing on DIT have been confounded by the size of the food bolus that's entering the digestive tract. That's what they've looked at before. The effects of oral stimuli, the duration of tasting the food in the mouth, along with the duration of chewing on this DIT, remember diet-induced thermogenesis, have not been reported previously. It is important to examine the effects of these oral stimuli on DIT in order to clarify the effects of slow eating as one of the strategies for preventing overweight and obesity. We hypothesize that these oral stimuli increasing the DIT based on our previous findings, that slow eating increased it. So they wanted to perform 3 trials in this one study. Drinking liquid food normally. So basically they have liquid protein shake or whatever it is, and they drink it. I'm sure it had a mix of all the macronutrients. 2, drinking the liquid food after they taste it. So they get a little bit of the taste on the mouth, and then they drink it. So they were able to get the flavor and everything and see what that does. And the most interesting one to me is the third wing of this study. A lot of people ask me, Jimmy, how do you get such good deep sleep? Well, there's a lot of things that I do, but one of the newest things that I recently added is this upgraded magnesium from a company called Upgraded Formulas. Go to their website, upgradedformulas.com, and you can learn all about this nano technology that they use for this particular mineral of magnesium. Again, it's called Upgraded Magnesium, and it's got all the different forms of magnesium in it, using the nanotechnology so it gets absorbed a lot better. Guys, I have seen my deep sleep improve by as much as 30 to 40% simply by adding in this product along with sunshine exposure, darkness in the room, cooler temperature, all of the things that I always have done. So again, upgradedformulas.com is the website. Go check them out. They're drinking, but while they're drinking this liquid diet, They're chewing in the process. Now, it seems weird, chewing liquid. You know, if you're sitting there drinking and then it's in your mouth and you're just chewing, kind of weird, right? But they wanted to know if adding chewing while tasting would impact it at all. So that's interesting. We'll see if it's interesting. So the methods were, they took 11 healthy, normal weight males with an average age of 23. They were 176 centimeters tall, body mass index of 21.9, so relatively lean. The inclusion criteria for the study was they had to be male, they had to be 18 to 30 years old, they had to have a BMI between 18 and 25, they had to be a non-smoker, no chronic or acute diseases, no dental problems, do not currently take medications, and don't have any food allergies. Those were the criteria. So they were specifically looking for a population of people, only 11, and it's all male. So take that for what it's worth. But they wanted basically healthy people. They didn't want to see people that were already kind of showing signs of brokenness. They want to say, in a healthy person, this is what happens. This study was conducted according to the guidelines laid down in the Declaration of Helsinki. It was approved by the Ethics Committee of Tokyo Institute of Technology in Japan. Each subject provided written informed consent to participate. So what was the protocol? The study had a randomized crossover design. The subjects completed 3 trials on 3 different days, with consecutive trial separated by more than 3 days. In other words, they washed out for 3+ days before they went to the next crossover study. The subjects arrived at the lab at the exact same time, between 8:30 and 10 a.m. after having abstained from eating, abstained from consuming caffeinated or alcoholic beverages, and they did not do intense exercise since dinner on the previous night. Again, they're looking for no confounding variables in the study. They had fasted for more than 10 hours each, usually the overnight sleeping fast. Each subject was seated on a chair in a quiet room in which the temperature and humidity were controlled. After allowing the subjects to adjust to the experimental setup for 20 minutes, baseline data of gas exchange variables and circulation were recorded while resting for 20 minutes. The subjects completed a 100 mm visual analog scale questionnaire to assess their hunger and their fullness before drinking the test drink. A 200 milliliter cocoa flavored drink was divided into 10 20 milliliter cups. After performing baseline measurements, the subject swallowed the 10 20 milliliter test drinks over a 5-minute experimental period in 3 ways. In the control group, the subjects swallowed 1 test drink every 30 seconds. So they're like, all right, dudes, all right, guys, they're young guys, so they're probably used to doing shots. So, all right, guys, you got 20 milliliters down. All right, that was fun. When's the next one? 30 seconds. Okay, is it 29, 30? Okay, and then they down. And so that was the control group. They're just straight up drinking it. And they did it within 30-second intervals. So if they had 20 of them, it means by 10 minutes, they finished all 200 milliliters. So that's kind of fun. In the long duration taste simulation, remember the second group, they had them taste it first before they drank it. Subjects kept the 20 milliliter test drink in their mouth for 30 seconds without chewing. So not only do they put it in their mouth, they have to sit there and hold it in their mouth for 30 seconds. And so they're holding it in their mouth so that their mouth and their tongue and all the taste receptors in their mouth get the full brunt of what that cocoa flavored potion stuff they had them drink tasted like. They wanted to see, is taste going to be a thing? And they had to do that with all 20. So can you imagine 10 minutes in a row of basically a little shot glass of 20 milliliters, for 30 seconds, and then swallow, and then grab the next one, put it in, and hold it in the mouth. That had to be the most uncomfortable one. Maybe. We're going to find out in a second which one, if that one or the next one was most uncomfortable, but holding it in their mouth. And the whole point was let them thoroughly taste. I wonder after how many of those, because they have 10 of them. I wonder after how many, they have 10 of them, so that would be 5 minutes to finish it. Did I do that right? Yeah, 10 20 milliliter cups, so 5 minutes. So it's not quite as bad as I thought it was. 5 minutes. And so can you imagine drinking and then having to put the next one in your mouth or horror? It'd be kind of weird for me. But all in the name of science. So they were trying to see if taste only impacted. Then the final group in the chewing stimulation trial, the subjects had to chew on the test drink, 20 milliliter, for 30 seconds at a frequency of once per second. So not only did they have to chew, they were instructed to chew 30 times. 30 times. Because it's once per second and they had to hold it in there 30 seconds. So drink, like, and then they had to swallow, go to the next one, and do it again. That last one would be the worst one. Because by the end, you're kind of going, oh my jaw, this chewing of liquid, like you don't normally chew. What would have been fun for them is if somehow they made it where it would be chewable, maybe make it like maybe a milkshake consistency. At least you'd be chewing something that has bite to it. Chewing liquid is no fun. But again, all in the name of science. So let's take a look at that test drink. What was it? The subjects consumed the exact same 200 milliliter cocoa flavored drink. So it's called Calorie Mate Can from Otsuka, Japan. It has 200 calories, protein 7.6 grams, fat 4.4 grams, and listen to this, carbohydrate 31 grams. So they put a crap load of sugar into this stuff. That was the test drink in all of the trials. The temperature of the test drink was measured by an infrared thermometer. The test drink was at a controlled temp of 7.4 degrees Celsius. Alexa, what is 7.4 degrees Celsius in Fahrenheit?
7.4 degrees Celsius is 45.32 degrees
So
Fahrenheit.
it was pretty chilly, cold. I wonder if any of them got brain freeze while they were like having it in their mouth, holding it, or having it in their mouth in the third group and chewing it. I wonder any of them felt brain freeze from like 45 degree temperature cocoa drink. Hunger and fullness. Subjects scored their hunger and fullness on a scale before the test drink. The subjects marked a tick on the line to indicate their feeling, with the score corresponding to the distance in milliliters from the left starting point of the line to the tick. The left and right ends of the scale were labeled not at all and extremely, respectively. So they wanted to see, I turned other people's ALEXA on. Sorry about that, but it's a nice little thing to have in real time while I'm doing these readings. So thank you for indulging me on that. Gas exchange variables and DIT, oxygen intake or uptake, carbon dioxide output and respiratory exchange were measured using a gas analyzer on a breath-by-breath basis before and after the test drink. The average data every 15 minutes and the last 15 minutes of the resting baseline were used for the analysis. Energy expenditure at resting baseline and after the test drink was calculated using the abbreviated Weir equation, which they list here in the study. That's the Weir equation right there. DIT was calculated from the postprandial increment. We don't want excrement in this. Increments in energy expenditure above the resting baseline. Accumulation for DIT over 90 minutes was calculated under the curve using trapezoidal rule. A lot of science gobbledygook, but you get the idea.